Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Space News, the weekly show where we dive into the launches that occurred last week, launches slated to occur next week, Starship news, and other interesting space news. The highlight of this week being NASA's SLS core stage, which completed an awesome hot fire test. Today is Friday, March 19th, 2021, and there is a lot to talk about. So let's get started. Let's start with the Starship news we have. On Tuesday, SN11 tried to static fire for the first time. However, it was aborted as the engines were starting up. As for next week, we can see another static fire attempt as early as Monday, and if all goes well, we could see a flight as early as Tuesday, although that's very unlikely. Over at the build site, however, we had a very exciting event. Super Heavy Booster number 1, or BN1, finished its sacking yesterday, becoming the first ever full-scale Super Heavy booster. BN1 will not fly, but will be a pathfinder, allowing the team to figure out how to roll it to the pad, complete cryoproofing, etc. It is not clear whether or not BN1 will receive Raptor engines. BN2 should be the first to fly, as it should complete a 150-meter hop. Elon Musk also announced this week that SpaceX is targeting to reach orbit with Starship by July of this year. If you ask me, this is way too ambitious, but it does give us good confidence of an orbital launch by the end of the year. Now over to the launches we saw last week. There were 2 launches last week. The first launch was a Long March 4C rocket, which launched the 4th group of Yaogan 31 remote sensing satellites from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in Gansu Province on March 13th at 2:19 UTC. The Yaogan 31 satellites will be used for scientific experiments, land and resource surveys, agricultural production, estimation, disaster prevention, and mitigation. The second launch occurred on March 14th at 10:01 UTC. This launch was another Starlink mission, Starlink 21, in which a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched 60 Starlink satellites from Launch Complex 39A. Following stage separation, Falcon 9's first stage, which was B1051, landed on the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship. This mission was of importance because it was the first time an orbital class booster flew for the 9th time. SpaceX is really upping their game with their reuse numbers. Their target is 15. Hopefully we get to see this booster fly for a 10th time, as it did land on the drone ship. Now over to the launches we hope to see over the next 7 days. The first launch is tomorrow, March 20th at 2:07 a.m. Eastern Time. This launch is a Russian Soyuz rocket, which will launch on a rideshare mission managed by GK Launch Services. The payloads on this mission include the CAS-500-1 Earth Observation Satellite for the Korea Aerospace Research Institute, Astroscale's ELSAD Active Debris Removal Demonstration Mission, and 4 Earth Imaging Microsatellites built by Axospace of Japan. The next launch is on the 23rd and is yet another Starlink mission, Starlink 22, which will launch from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida at about 5:58 p.m. Eastern Time. This will be the 7th flight for this particular booster, and SpaceX of course will attempt to recover it 633 kilometers downrange on the Just Read the Instructions drone ship. They will also be attempting to recover the fairings about 707 kilometers downrange. However, this is the first time they're going to recover them using the Shelia Borderland ship. We might see a Rocket Lab Electron mission named They Grow Up So Fast, but this is not confirmed just yet. Now let's talk about the all-important hot fire test of the core stage of NASA's SLS, or Space Launch System rocket. Yesterday, on March 18th, the core stage lit up its 4 RS-25 engines for a second time. The fire proceeded well past the 4 minutes required and completed a full duration burn, lasting just over 8 minutes. This means that it mimicked the flight profile that it will be taking during launch. The post-fire briefing told us that the fire was a huge success. After refurbishments, the core stage will ship down to NASA's Kennedy Space Center into the all-iconic VAB, or Vehicle Assembly Building, to be mated with the other components of SLS. This puts NASA on track to launch SLS for Artemis 1 early next year. And that's gonna do it. Thank you all so much for watching. It means so much to me, and I really do thank you. If you enjoyed, I have to ask you to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos are published to ensure that the news is as up to date as possible. Comment down below if there's anything important I missed. Thank you so much again, and let's hope that there's some awesome launches that we get to talk about next week on Space News.